So for this assignment, we were tasked with taking a look at the felony murder rule and articulating whether we agree with it or not. Um, I personally don't. I think it's a gross misuse of justice. And it seems in the research and the reading I've been doing, in more instances than not, it's grossly misused. I did find an example of that concerning a young man in New York named Brandon Hine. Brandon Hine was a teenager who didn't kill anyone, but he's serving the same sentence, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, as the Menendez brothers who killed their parents, Gary Ridgway who killed 48 women in Washington State, Sirhan who killed Robert Kennedy, and Charles Manson, although Charles Manson does get to come up for parole. This young man, Brandon Hine, however, does not. Ever. So what did Brandon do? He was drunk and got into a fight that involved 6 boys where one stabbed another who bled to death. The boy who did the stabbing admitted he did it in an effort to get the boy off of his younger brother. Now, the boy who did the stabbing wasn't Brandon. The one who did admitted to it. Didn't help the case that the same boy earlier in the day took a wallet off the seat of a parked van, and no charges were brought there. So basically, this kid Brandon was with his friends, and an issue, an altercation broke out. Another individual he was with stabbed another individual in defense of his younger brother, and that kid bled to death. So is there a degree of responsibility that Brandon would have being culpable because he was with this group that did this? Perhaps. That would have to be litigated. That would be have to be brought in front of a judge and argued to see to what degree, if any, he was involved. Conversely, for him to be, just because he was there, because of the felony murder rule, to be put in prison for the rest of his life at 18 years old with no possibility of parole, but yet someone like Charles Manson does get the opportunity for parole, that's gross misuse of the justice system. Okay. As my understanding with murder, a big element of murder, convicting somebody for murder, is intent. That's the difference between, we would say, like murder and manslaughter. Manslaughter is more like out of your negligence, someone has been killed. You didn't intend to kill anybody, but you were negligent, and therefore the end result was someone losing their life. However, murder, intent is an element of murder, statutorily. So for this young man to have his life wasted and have no chance of getting out ever is mind-blowing. So this law should absolutely not remain in the books. I think it should be thrown out altogether. I understand the fact of, like, in certain cases, like if, let's say, burglary or robbery, if you're with someone who commits a robbery or with someone who commits a burglary, you can be charged with that as well. However, in this case, you may be, I could see a lesser manslaughter charge depending on the entirety of the facts, because I don't know all the facts. I don't know, was he egging him on? Was he even had anything to do with it? Did he say anything to either party? Was he a part of the events that led up directly to someone losing their life, or was he not? Was he just simply there? That would have to be argued, and then argued in front of a judge, and a reasonable, statutorily defined punishment laid out. Not just, well, he was there, and so he's getting the just desserts as the guy who actually committed the murder.